All right, today's project, I've got this old Troy-Bilt 2550 pressure washer. I haven't been able to get it started the last several times I've tried, and so today we're going to spend a little time on this, seeing if we can't get it to run. For starters, we're just going to take this cover off of this thing, and just two Phillips head screws they've already taken out, and I think it just pops right off of there. Nothing to it. So now we can get into this thing a little better access. And I believe the air filter is going to be inside of that side there. So it looks like we've got a standard head screw holding that on. We're going to remove that and see if we can get into the air filter. And there it is. So it looks like a paper type air filter. I'd forgotten what was in this thing. Actually doesn't look terrible. Went in and replaced the spark plug in case that was the issue. Old spark plug didn't look all that bad, to be honest. Could have just probably cleaned it up and kept it, but whatever. Went ahead and replaced that just to rule that thing out. And so no luck starting it with the new spark plug, so I'm pretty confident it's going to be carburetor related. Well, I was able to find a kit on Amazon for only about $20, and it comes with a whole carburetor itself, all assembled and ready to go in, along with the gasket and an O-ring that go with the carburetor. And they give you a fuel line as well. I don't know why it's clear, but it's all right, it'll work. A couple of little hose clamps for the fuel line, and then they included a new paper air filter. So so that's the plan now. I'm just going to go ahead and replace the carburetor, and might as well put a new fuel line and air filter in while I'm at it, and we'll see if this baby will fire up. This is this type that has a manual choke. I know a lot of the same model of or similar model of pressure washer have automatic chokes. This one does not. It has the manual choke. You can see it's working off of this little plastic deal here, this part there, and so that's the choke. And then on the throttle itself, it's got a little lever over there. Get the choke out of the way, and it pulls back on this little guy here that has the spring attached to it. I've taken the 5/16 bolts out of this air filter housing, and pretty straightforward. Once you get the three bolts out, it just falls right off. The gas tank is completely dry, so as I disconnect the fuel lines from the carburetor, I really don't have to worry about there being any fuel in there. So removing this fuel line seems pretty straightforward. With a pair of pliers, that clamp comes right off of there. And I suppose this will just kind of wiggle off of there real easily. Didn't need to use a lot of force or anything like that. I mean, if the line itself seems decent, I probably won't replace it, since the line they sent me seems to be a little bit smaller diameter and a little longer than what I need, so maybe not really made for this specific model. The carburetor itself is mounted to the engine with two bolts. With a little extension on my ratchet, I could get in there with to access the bolts, one here and one on the other side. And it used a 3/8 inch ratchet. To remove the two bolts, they used a 3/8 inch socket extension, and you can see the carburetor just kind of hanging there on that little spring. So I think that'll come apart pretty easily. Okay, I got that off of there. Oh, and you can see where the carburetor mounts, it has that O-ring is still in place. So that'll come out and be replaced with the new one that came with the carburetor kit that I bought. I'm gonna put this new O-ring where the old one was. There's the old one that came out, and it was just sitting over this little guy. I'm just gonna set that right back there. There's the new carburetor, and this little hole here with the plastic ring is what this little linkage here is gonna slide onto. So there's a little hook on the end of it down here. So I'm gonna slide that into that little plastic ring, and okay, so the carburetor is hanging there with that little linkage hook through this plastic eye. And so now, simply going to place this carburetor back up where it goes and put these two bolts back in that use the 3/8 socket. Oh, and I think it's important too that once I get the carburetor up and in place, the plastic little prong here that goes over the choke valve needs to sit in this opening for the choke lever. So I'll make sure that little plastic thing's up through there before I bolt it all together. All right, so there's a new carburetor in place. I Didn't go to any specific torque spec on those two bolts. I used a 3/8" socket. And you can see the choke valve prong deal is sticking up like that, and so it should move with the choke, and it does. And over back here is the throttle itself. That's connected now. That fuel line went back on real easy over the inlet to the throttle. And so now I'm going to put the air filter body back on. All right, here's the back of that air filter housing, and here's the old gasket. So I'll be taking that out. It looks like there's 3 little pins that kind of help make sure that gasket's in the right position, and so I can't really screw up where I put it. And there's the new one. It's going to go, looks like about like so. So let's get that old one out, new one in. There's the new gasket in place. I just kind of pressed it down there with my fingernails over those pins in the 3 spots, and I don't think you can really screw up where it goes as long as you get it lined up over those pins. So we're good to go. I'm going to bolt this thing onto the carburetor. Just like that, we have the air filter housing back in place with those 3 bolts back in. Again, didn't use any specific torque spec, just kind of snugged them up tight. And so I think we're in pretty good shape. Okay, the cover for the air filter just kind of slides down into those little grooves, I guess you call them. And once those are in place, then the cover just closes, and you have the 1 bolt right here that just uses a standard screwdriver. I'm just going to finger tight it for now. I'll snug that up with a screwdriver, and I think that's going to be done. Okay, quick recap on what we did replace. We replaced the old carburetor itself, which came all intact like that. That's the old one. We replaced the spark plug, replaced the air filter, and of course the gasket and O-ring that go with the carburetor itself. I did not take the time to replace the fuel line that they sent, so I'm not sure that was really the right size. And we're back in business.